For St. Patrick's Day, I wanted to share with you guys a recipe that would be quick, easy, fun, and inexpensive. To me, the most obvious thing that covered all those bases was Irish soda bread.
This week on Working Class Foodies.
Probably like most of you, I actually thought that Irish soda bread was traditionally made with sugar, butter, eggs, raisins, and caraway seeds. But a little bit of research took me to epicurious.com, where an Irish chef said that the actual original traditional Irish soda bread was only made of 4 very basic, very affordable ingredients: flour, salt, baking soda, or as the Irish I guess call it, bread soda, and buttermilk. So it's basically a quick bread recipe. For a lot of people, myself included, baking bread can be a little bit daunting. You have yeast, you have to let the dough rise, to let it double in size, and how do you know when it's doubled? And then you have to knead it, which means you have to punch it down, but you can't punch it down too much, and you don't want to over knead it, so if you overwork the gluten then it's going to be gross. There's a lot going on with baking bread. But a quick bread, like Irish soda bread, is incredibly easy to make. And I thought, what a great way to introduce baking bread to people. Since the basic recipe for this traditional Irish soda bread was so minimalistic, I decided to double the recipe and make 1 loaf of traditional Irish soda bread, plain, and then divide the other half of the dough into little biscuits with a little seasoning in them. So when I went to the market to pick up a bag of flour from the same farmers I bought my polenta from a few weeks ago, I also picked up a little handful of chives to make some chive-flavored Irish soda bread biscuits. Now, keep in mind that the recipe I'm giving you is a double recipe for Irish soda bread. To make Irish soda bread, first thing you do is preheat the oven to 425. In a large bowl, combine 7 cups of flour, 2 teaspoons of baking soda, a teaspoon and a half of salt, 1 teaspoon, and 3 cups of buttermilk. Stir this all together. You're probably going to want to use your hands until a sticky but coherent dough forms. Because this is a quick bread dough, you don't want it to be too dry. It's going to be a little on the sticky side, but it should still form a uniform ball. If your bread is too dry, add a little more buttermilk. If it's too sticky, add a little more flour. Then I divided my dough in half, and I turned the first half onto a lightly floured surface and gently kneaded the dough for about a minute until I had formed sort of 6-inch semicircle, about 2 inches tall. Then with a knife, I cut an inch-deep X into the top of the dough. You can do a little bit of fun trivia research online to find out why you cut a cross into the dough. The reasons range from fairies to religious reasons to my personal favorite, which is that the X in the dough makes it easy to pull the bread apart for company. After I cut the X into the top of my dough, I baked the loaf for about 35 minutes, or until the bottom sounded hollow when I tapped it. After 35 minutes, my loaf of traditional Irish soda bread was ready to come out of the oven. I set it on a cooling rack and set about making my chive biscuits. I turned my second half of dough onto a lightly floured surface and kneaded in some freshly cut chives. I pulled my dough into a log and cut it into 8 equal sections. I turned my little biscuits onto a baking sheet and baked them for about 30 minutes. When my biscuits were done, I set them on a cooling rack, and then I melted 2 tablespoons of butter in the microwave and added in about 3 tablespoons of cut chives. I brushed this chive butter on top of the biscuits, and they were ready to serve. I like to serve my Irish soda bread with just some nice sweet cream butter and honey, but it's also great for sopping up gravy, or if you've overindulged a little bit on St. Patrick's Day, it's pretty good for sopping up beer too. Now, like I said before, I used flour from the farmer's market, which costs a little bit more, but you can absolutely make this bread with just traditional all-purpose flour from the supermarket. If you use just regular all-purpose flour, buttermilk, and chives, it's going to cost you about $5.50 to get a double recipe of Irish soda bread. So of course, if you're just making one recipe, then it's only going to cost you about $2.75. So that's what I made for St. Patrick's Day this year, and now it's your turn. Let us know what your St. Patrick's Day plans are, what your favorite Irish soda red mix-ins are, or just what your favorite Irish recipe is. We'd love to share it.